our issues for the last few years have been not, car sharing. I guess like a rental car, is kind of a car sharing situation.
Sure, Hertz being
Yeah.
a big player now.
Yeah. We've just been trying to keep the factories operating the last couple of years has been a very difficult thing. And like supply chain interruptions have been severe, like extremely severe. So it has required all of our attention just to keep the factories going, not to think of like at the end of it, like the super hard part for a car company is like how do you get revenue above cost so you don't go bankrupt.
Yeah.
So it's not really like a, as long as our demand is enough to absorb the production, and we have production enough to cover our fixed expenses, then we're in an okay spot.
Sure.
But the thing that, like, car companies, you should think of car companies as like at any given point they desperately want to go bankrupt. Okay, that a car company is desperately trying to go bankrupt at any given point in time. In order to have that not be the case, you have to have the factories have to be active. Otherwise, you have parts piling up in warehouses all around the world, and you can't ship but if you're missing any parts, you can't finish the car and ship it. So the past 2 years have been an absolute nightmare of supply chain interruptions, one thing after another, and we're not out of it yet. That's overwhelmingly our concern is how do we keep the factories operating so we can pay people and not go bankrupt. And then everything else is like nice to have, but even recently, like the COVID shutdowns in China were very, very difficult. Like this factory is losing insane money right now because we can't make it. Because we like we should be outputting a lot more cars from this factory versus a very puny amount of cars. But we had challenges with the 4680 ramp and with the structural pack ramp, and then ironically the tooling, because we were able to do 2170 cells, but the tooling necessary for making 2170 variant cars was stuck in China. So we had this Shanghai factory in op. We got the tooling to enable this factory stuck in port in China with no one to actually move it, which basically then caused this factory's production ramp to be very tiny. Now this is all going to get fixed real fast, but it requires a lot of attention. And it will take, like I said, it'll take more effort to get this factory to high volume production than it took to build it in the first place. And the same is true of Berlin. Berlin's in a slightly better position because Berlin started off with the 2170 style and did not have the 4680 and structural pack risk. But both Berlin and Austin factories are gigantic money furnaces right now.
Yeah.
Okay, there should be like a giant roaring sound, which is the sound of money on fire. Okay, that's what.
Dumpster fire, right? In the back.
Bigger than a dumpster. Dumpster's too small. Gigafactory level, like Berlin and Austin are losing billions of dollars right now because there's a ton of expense and hardly any output. So getting Berlin and Austin functional and getting Shanghai back in the saddle fully are overwhelmingly our concerns. Everything else is a very small thing, basically. And we're our own worst enemy in adding complexity. In the grand scheme of things, the Model S and X we're doing them not because they are huge money owners, but really for sentimental reasons. They're at full output, we're talking about 100,000 cars a year for S and X. But 3 and Y will do, 2 million plus. So it's like 10x more, frankly. I think 3 and Y could probably do 3 or 4 million. and S next will top out at 100,000. Just because the affordability drops off exponentially with price. So as price rises, you basically, the number of people that can afford an S or an X, it doesn't drop by a little, it drops by an order of magnitude. So like a doubling of the price will drop the affordability by a factor of 10. As a rough rule of thumb. And there's an argument for maybe we should advertise because the sort of traditional media will not run negative pieces about automotive because automotive is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, advertisers in their paper. So they this is so Tesla's like basically free game, whereas it's safe to say that if they run some negative piece about General Motors right next to a General Motors ad, General Motors marketing exec is going to call them up and say, why did you do that?
Do you want me to pull it now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, your budget next year, we'll be spending nothing with your publication next year. Yeah, exactly. That is, and they don't have to do that because they know. So there's a tacit understanding that you don't run hit pieces on your major advertisers.
Yeah,
It's bad for business.
Yeah, right. And then people's like, oh, don't worry, there's a fire, there's a Chinese wall between the business and the editorial. I'm like, yeah, but they also know who's paying their salary. Okay, they don't need like they're not idiots.
Same way there's a firewall between me and my boss. Bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. They just know don't go there. That's what they know. But they can trash Tesla because Tesla doesn't advertise. So that's the issue. So maybe we should advertise and at least like, I don't know, it's sort of, doesn't feel right, but that is something we could do. I mean, in the grand scheme of things though, like if you look at like, if you ignore sort of the Sturm und Drang and say just like, okay, well, is it actually causing us to sell fewer cars? It doesn't seem to be. So then why should we care?
Demand is not an issue.
So they can actually. I mean, frankly, a bunch of the pieces trashing Tesla, as especially like say like 2017 through 2019, the press was just a non-stop hate stream. It was like. Hate, like Tesla's a fraud, Tesla's a failure, Tesla's a fraudulent failure. Tesla, they were like, thumbing through the thesaurus for like bad words to use. It was like insane. You just like click on like the phone, like the stock app ticker, and I remember like for 3 years straight, it would just be like headlines just trashing Tesla, just over and over and over again. And our sales went up. So I'm like, okay, yeah. So I'm like, I guess keep trashing us, because at the end of the day, people were like, oh yeah, I just kept reading about Tesla. I don't know why, but I just kept reading about it. I can't remember what the article was about, but I know I read about Tesla 17 times.
And GM, none.
What is it? Bad press is good press or whatever?
Yeah, there's like, all press is good press. There's some truth to that,
Yeah.
So. Because like generally you say like, of the articles that you read about in a newspaper like last week, how much content can you remember about those articles?
Really, it's just the headline. It's sentiment.
Yeah, the headline vaguely.
People aren't reading the articles.
Yeah, yes.
And even if they are,
I know like there was a big movement on Twitter like, please read the article before you retweet it or forward it.
Retweet and try to make you confirm. Yeah.
And then they read the headline.
Everyone's just forward retweeting and forwarding based on the friggin' headline, even though the content says the exact opposite of what the headline is.